Hello viewers, welcome back to the channel, and yes, I'm back for more AFLW content. It's only a day away, and I've been crafting this whilst I've been having breaks, and I've got this ready for you. It's my 2026 lab positions. You may have noticed new glasses, well, I got them on Tuesday, and yes, these are going to be my new glasses from now on, so it may look a bit weird on your screen, but I've got glasses on. I'll show you. And there. So there we go. So we got to get underway here. So this is my AFLW predictions. I'll be filming, just so you know, I'll be filming every I'll be doing every tipping video for the W, trying to make sure I get the best possible score. You may notice I'm not in my usual spot. Well, that's because there's no bench there, unfortunately, at the moment. So it sucks, but let's get on with it. So in my team, as last place is the GOS Giants. You may note this later on some retro stuff with logos and lots of stuff. That's mainly because I had to look through my database, and the logos might be a bit shit like this one. Well, GOS had a bit of they finished second last at Gold Coast last year, but the way they got belted by the Bulldogs in the official practice match, was, to be honest with you, quite bad. I expected more on this side because they were the older Sydney side, and I'd like to see them do well. But unfortunately, I don't see them having, because they've got a really tough draw. But they've got games and they've got their first ever doubleheader at Sydney at NG against West Coast. But I don't see them winning much this season. In fact, I probably expect them to go at least get 2 or 3 wins this season. And yeah, sadly, GOS is 18th. Then my next one is the Gold Coast Suns. Yes, old logo. Was current when I originally had it, but it changed. It got changed last year. Anyway. Gold Coast, they finished bottom last year, and I want them to get up the ladder. They've got good picks, and they've got pretty much a star-studded lineup. Got Lily Miffin in from the Demons. And to excite Gold Coast fans, and they get to play they get to continue on and play most of their games at People First and at AFL standard venue. I don't see why these teams who are predominantly based at the AFL venues doing badly. I don't see it. But Gold Coast have Havana Brown has got another year into her. Havana Harris, has got another year into her, and I think she's going to be a real excitement machine this season. But Gold Coast needs, and I've got a few more of those academy players coming through, and I want to see them do well, but unfortunately that's 17th. 16th, we've got Port Adelaide. Well, I think for Port fans, I'm afraid that... Yeah, I do apologise again about the crappy quality photo. I've had to do a screenshot on my laptop. Anyway, so Port, well, they have had an ordinary season and have been dealt a very tough draw. They've got North Melbourne twice. They've got North Melbourne away, and also they've got a very rampant Fremantle, but they don't play West Coast, which they don't play much in the finals. But I'm expecting teams to make improvements because they did look quite the ordinary side. I'm going to show you the practice match footage. Fixture. Just bear with me here. I'm just going to show you what happened to them in the practice match, because most of these predictions are based on what happened in the practice match. But mind you, Gold Coast did pretty good. So Port. No, wrong. That's wrong season. AFLW pre-season. See this? Melbourne win by 5 points and have a new coach. I don't expect this to happen to Port, but basing off the practice matches and the fact that the matter is they've got a new captain again, with Justine Mills Robinson taking over the gig from Cuthbertson. I don't see that they are going to, and they've got. Some of their players did perform well in the games. Matilda Schultz continues to rise up to number 1 ruck, but Port, I don't think they're going to be bottom 4 for a while. They're going to need to get their arse into gear and get into finals. For that reason, I'm going to put them in 16th. I'm expecting them to tumble out last year. Then 15th, Sydney. Sydney Swans. Well, Sydney, to be honest, got absolutely bashed out of the park. I'm going to show you here on the 25 points against a Hawthorn side, which you expect, who's lost players to other sides like Tilly, Lucas, Rod, is, to be honest with you, quite unacceptable. The Sydney, they're very good, but Chloe Malloy needs to step up. A few of their players need to step up to get their butts into gear and get this side out the bottom before they miss files just against a Bombers side, which was quite blatantly, they were quite rubbish, and I rather want to see them beat the top side, so I want to see them in finals, but they're 15th simply because they've got a new coach in Colin O'Riordan, and he did not do the greatest, get his audition off to the greatest of starts because of what happened at the Aussie Ireland game. Now, 14th, we have the Essendon Bombers. This one's not out of date, it's been the oldest one in my books. Well, Essendon had a weird season last year. They had they had changes last year, and not 20, it's 25. To be frank with you, they finished bottom 6, and they stunk for the majority of the year. Yeah, and I'm expecting them to come out firing again, but having said that, they've lost key players again to the big sides, like the Brisbanes, the North Melbournes, the Tasmanians, and I seriously think that can be a good side this year, but I don't think they will make the 8. They're going to be parked in top bottom 6 for some time. 13th, we have the Pies moving up a spot from last year. Well, Collingwood were frankly bad. They climbed out of the bottom 4, they also got their season off to the right start with a pracky match win over the West Coast Eagles at Mineral Resources Park. Yeah, an absolute thriller at Perth. But I don't think this Pies side is good. Yes, they don't have Ash Shentra, and yes, she's had a very injury interrupted season last year. But I don't see the Pies making much moving up the ladder for the W. Last year they had a bit of an ordinary season, and I don't like the fact they've always picked to try and do ordinary seasons back to back. They get to play more games now at Vic. They get to play a couple of games at Victoria Park, and also get to play a bit more games at Vic Park. But I'm hoping that the Oval improves. That was a shit over last year. But they have been helped with a very, very tough draw ahead of the Pies. They've got Fremantle at Vic Park, and the West, and they play North Melbourne too. So they are toast. So they're 13. 12, we have the Richmond Tigers. Richmond, well, they did better than they did. They dropped down again to 16, bottom 4. And they only won 2 games the entire year. They only won in the back end. They beat Adelaide, and also they beat Collingwood. But they stung for the majority of the year. When I got back from camp last year, I watched the Dreamtime Darwin, and they absolutely eeked there. But having said that, though, fresh things are going to come this year. They beat Fremantle immediately off Frereo's proper home ground at Freo Oval, and at the Good Grocer Park against Fremantle. But Richmond, I think, can make a rise, but they've got a bit of a favourable draw. They've got Essendon. They've got a few easy teams to start with, and I think they can make the way, but they're 12th on the basis of they've got injuries. 11th, we have Geelong. Well, Geelong have had Paul Lofer paid the price of having a really, really ordinary past couple of seasons, and he got given the sack from Geelong at the end of the season, and the Cats have wasted no time in getting a very gun hire in picking up Mick Stinia. I think Mick Stinia will have a bit of trouble trying to transition the side from what it was under Lofer, a very boring, bland side, but he'll have trouble trying to transfer him. But this Geelong side is very good when it gets game going. But they've got some hard fixtures up. They get to relish the fact again they get to play at GMHBA as a home ground for them. And again, they've got a double header in there, which is going to be good news for Cats fans, like the Lockie Millers and the Catmans. And the Cats are going to be an exciting team to watch. You see that if Mixon did well at Melbourne, this is going to be I'm expecting good things out of this Cats side in the future, but they're going to finish 11th, just outside the wild card. Then in the team, the wild card, you may notice this is retro. This is the Western Bulldogs, the old Robo Dog. Well, the Bulldogs put off the big smashings of the preseason after belting the absolute living daylights out of a GWS side. To be frank with you, they were quite shit, but the Dogs, they actually looked more revitalised than the Tammy Hyatt they have for some time. I paid attention to that game against Port a few years ago at the MCG, where they got absolutely smashed, and the Tammy Hyatt was playing on primetime football on some points in the season. That Port played absolutely a boring football, but last year they got the game going. But I think this year they're going to move up the ladder into 10th. They were very good, and I want to see them do well this year. They'll make the wild card, but I don't think they'll probably be wild card merchants for a while. But I'm putting them in 10th because I can expect good things out of the side. Then in the other wild card round, it's a big shock. It's Brisbane. Well, Brisbane have lost some stars, and I'm starting to think that grand final hoodoos are going to stay around for this Brisbane side. They get to play more games at Brighton Homes, but you can see here, 3-point winner at a Cat side, which I'm not expecting to do good things. I don't think it's not truly reflective of what Brisbane's going to go through this year. I don't think they've lost two grand. They got been smashed twice in a row. There's the likes of Carlton, Fremantle to West Coast. I think they passed them at the moment. They've still got Craig Starcevich at the helm, but expecting him to keep going with his try and get into the wild card and try and play good footy. To be honest with you, this is why the AFLW Lions are going to finish 9th and low. Then I do apologise to Hawks fans. This is the only logo I could find. Was the Box Hill one. It's Hawthorn. Hawthorn. Well, I think they tumble out of getting straight sets. Tumbling out of straight sets is never good, and to do it to a reigning premiers and not putting up a big fight at Icon, absolutely stunk. They were pretty much. They stunk the joint in the finals, and I don't like. They were at the roof for the majority of the games, and they ran out of gas after they got back from Cairns. They need to do something about it. But I think they can make wild card. I think they can finish 8th. Anyway, but with the wild card, I think they can get the job done in September. But they need to get in November. But I think they have to make. They've lost Tilly Lucas Rod to the Giants, but I can see them getting further the Hawks. Then we got the West Coast Eagles finishing 7th. Well, this Eagles side was very exciting to watch at points during the year under Daisy Pearce, but they did not get the job done in September. They lost their elimination final to the Carlton Blues. They lost 2 straight games they lost a chance to play a home final against the Blues. It was after losing at Sullivan Logistics Stadium, and then to lose again at Icon really was not exactly the best way to go out of the final series. But West Coast have got some good players on their list. Like, I'm expecting Ella Roberts to continue doing the job for them. Jess Wrench was really good. Lucia Painter in the debut season was really stiff to miss out on the rising star. I think she can get big things done this year. I really want to see Eagles do well. They're very good on their day, but I don't see them jumping higher than 7th simply because there's bad teams above them. But they can do it. I think they can get the business done in September. Then 6th place, we have a surprise pack. We have St Kilda, which is going to be hosting Elim. Well, the Saints finally broke their hoodoo at the in finals, but unfortunately they didn't show up to the occasion and play Adelaide. But they have an advantage over teams this season where they have a week break a longer break than most teams between games, particularly because they've got Spud's game on Sunday. AFL wanted them to play Spud's game, so they're playing Spud game games, and then they get an entire week off. Them and Carlton have a long break between games, and I want them to see them play to their strengths this year. They've been playing very good football, the Saints. Unfortunately, they did not get off their season after the bright starts against Adelaide in the pracky matches. They lost them, and I did not see they weren't great. But I think the Saints will get into business under Nick Del Santo on when they get to the main stuff, and I think they can get the job done in wildcard in finals. But they've got that September experience, and I think they can get the job done. This is why I'm going to put the Saints sixth. Fifth place, we have Melbourne. Well, Melbourne were very good in pre-season. They beat Port, which Tom Wilson looks like he's going to be a very steady coach for the Demons, and I reckon he was a smart hire from the D's. They were quite good under Senior last year, and only just missing out on making the GF. And I'm going to expect big things out of the D's this year. I want to make sure they get into finals and get the business done. But having said that, I've got the new coach. I think they'll be revitalised under Wilson. But they've lost some key players. Like they've lost Lee Johnson, they've lost Eden Zanker to the Fremantle. Both Lee Johnson and Zanker to the Fremantle Dockers. But I think they're going to slip a little bit. But they can make November if they can. I'm tipping I hope the D's finish with. Then fourth place we have the mighty Dockers is finishing fourth. Last year was a bit of an off year for Fremantle. We got screwed over by injuries to Anya Tai. And we got one thing we didn't help our final scores was getting belted back to back against Brisbane and the two sides that made finals. But I mean, it is a situation where we needed to beat Adelaide to get into November, and that did not work out because Adelaide are always a good side. It's regardless of who's coaching them. I seriously think the Dockers can get the job done, and they've got more. They play predominantly now. They play at Coburn, not at Freo Oval. I'm glad they moved out. It was not exactly the best facility. I want to see you do well. Well, I want Dockers to finish off and host a qualifying final. And if they finish fourth this year, they win the McKellar Trophy. Third place, we have the predictable Adelaide. The Crows were very good last season. They made finals under their last season, Matty Clark, but after the first final, they easily disposed of St Kilda. Did not get the business done against Carlton. Did not get the business done at all against. But I'm expecting them to do well. I'm hoping they do well. The Crows, but they've got a new coach now. They've got, I can't remember what's his name. They've got Ryan Davis, who is a proven coach. He's played for West. He should get things done with the Crows. I want to see them to do very good football. They're always play a good, attractive brand of football. But I want to see them finish third this year. They can make some improvements, and the only play they've lost of night was Anna Hatchard to Gold Coast. Second place, we have Carlton. What's not to have to go about Carlton? Abby Mackay's leading her troops very well, and she's also leading. And her sister Sophie is a bloody good footballer. I got to see her on debut on the first night of the season, and by Jove, she was bloody good. I expect good things to come out of the Blues this year. I think they can finish second. You may know who's going to be first. It's North Melbourne, Tasmania. Well, the Kangas keep on getting the job done as much as they want. They're a bloody good side. They've got handed another favourable draw. They play Brisbane they might step off the pace this year because they're going for three-peat and unbeaten. But I think North Melbourne Tasmania can get the job done. They'll lose some that they've only gained more in this preseason. They've got Christy Weston Turner from the Bulldogs, who did not want to be there at the Dogs, and I think she's going to improve their side. I think the Kangas can get jumped. Now, here's my predictions for the Grand Final awards. Fremantle to defeat North in the Grand Final, and the Aaron Phillips medal to go to Mim Strong. The best and fairest will go to the NAB AFLW best and fairest will be going to Ella Roberts, who's very good to her, and Rising Stars Meg Lappin, of the Brisbane Lions. She looked very good in that pre-season, and she's going to be a fantastic player to watch. Well, that's my AFLW predictions done. Hope you enjoy. I'll see you again Sunday. May I prepare for my 9-hour live stream.